Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwowin's Nest. I'm so glad you're here. This first DIY is using a Dollar Tree love sign. I've already removed that heart, and now I'm going to do my best to peel off the rest of this paper. It's not easy to do, but I have found that using that little razor from the Dollar Tree does help to get the peeling started. I'm going to take some fine grit sandpaper and just sand down the areas that didn't come off, and I'm also just going to give the whole thing a light sanding. I'm going to give the sign one coat of Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Rich Black. This chalk paint is super thick and it covers really well, usually with just one coat. Using a snowflake stencil, I am going to use a makeup sponge and some white chalk paint and just very gently dab on the paint. I want these snowflakes to look really light and airy. I used my Cricut to cut out these snowflakes, but I will have this available as a stencil on my website as well as a free printable. When I'm doing stencils as a background, I like to have part of the stencil run off my project. So I did that for the first one already, and here you'll see that some of these snowflakes are not completely full on the sign. I've got them falling off sort of. It just makes it look more natural. I'm going to do both sides about 6 inches in from the edge because I'm going to put some printing in the center. I thought I would show you that some things don't always work out for me either. This is one of many Cricut fails. I cut out this snowflake word on my Cricut using some contact paper from Walmart. And when I put the transfer tape on and stuck everything down onto the sign and peeled it off, first of all, the letters didn't stick and it pulled up a whole bunch of black paint with it. I ended up just pulling it off. You can see all of the black paint that's missing. I sanded it down because there were a few little rough edges, and I'm just going to repaint it and let it dry completely. So back to basics. I'm using a chalk marker and I'm just going to go ahead and freehand the words. So in the center plank, I'm going to put our winters, and then at the top is going to be snowflakes, and at the bottom will be butterflies. For my inspiration on how to do the letters, I just followed along with the original design on the decal, which again will also be available as a free printable. I went over the letters one more time with the chalk marker just to thicken them up. To add a little bit more texture to the sign, I'm taking a really rough chip brush, dabbing it in some white paint, and then just pouncing around on the black areas just to look like it's a little bit more snow. A little tip, if you're using chip brushes, I find that they're really soft, so I don't wash this one in between painting with it. I only use this one for distressing, and so it only has paint on the tips, but when I'm done with it, I actually just let the paint dry on it, and it's getting crustier and crustier, and it's working out really great for distressing and doing projects like this. I'm going to make a wood frame for this sign. I just thought it needed something a little bit extra. So I have these wood garden stakes. They're basically half-inch square dowels. They're 4 feet long, and I'm going to just measure down what I need and then cut them using my miter shears. I tried using the miter shears for this, but I did find that it wasn't cutting through nicely, so I switched over to this miter box and my little hacksaw. I've got all my pieces cut, and I just wanted to do a little bit of sanding on those cut edges to make sure there weren't any sharp pieces. I'm using hot glue to put this all together, and I'm going to put the hot glue down at the bottom portion of the dowel because that's what's going to be touching the sign. And then I'll just push them together really firmly until it is set. I'll continue that process for all the pieces of wood. I've got everything set, and I'm just going to make sure that the wood is attached very firmly to the sign, just adding a little bit of extra hot glue on the back. I thought the sign needed a little bit of something extra, so I'm taking some of this white nautical rope. Now, this is a roll that I picked up at Michael's, and it's not exactly white, it's sort of a cream color. It's a little bit smaller in diameter than the one you can get at the Dollar Tree, but that one would work fine too. I'm just going to put a knot at the end of it, cut off the excess, and then I'll use that little knot to get glued right onto the top of the frame. If you're wondering why I'm still doing winter DIYs, this is what I see outside my window today as I'm editing my video. So pretty. This next project is a winter DIY, but it could be used all year round. I have this birch wrapping paper that I picked up before the holidays, and I'm just going to cut out a piece to wrap around this glass vase that was an Easter decor item last year, and I'm going to repurpose it for this. So if you've been watching my videos, lately I've been talking about using a glue stick when you're working with paper. For this project, I want wrinkles and bubbles and all sorts of texture. So I'm going to be using Mod Podge. I'm going to put a nice generous layer on the glass, and then I'm going to add the paper and let it wrinkle to its heart's content. I'm working in sections of about 2 to 3 inches, and I'm just going to work the paper down. The edges at the top and the bottom, I'm going to be folding inwards. So I'm just going to repeat this whole process until I get around to the other side and I've got it covered completely. This is the bottom of the vase. I'm going to be adding some more Mod Podge because I just want to curl that paper over the bottom edge and give it a nice rough texture. I'm just going to use my fingers to press in the paper and make sure that it's all glued down well. I'm going to do the same for the top, add a little bit of Mod Podge on the inside of the glass, and then fold down the paper and work it in so it stays put. It's going to be a little wrinkly on the top as well, but that's the look I'm going for. So I could just leave the vase the way it is. It looks like it's birch bark, but I want more texture. I'm cutting smaller strips of the paper and I'm going to be adding these onto the vase, and I'm going to probably put about 4 or 5 layers onto it. It's just going to really help with more of a real look for the vase because the more I put on, the more it gets wrinkled. Now I've got about 2 or 3 layers, and what I'm doing next with these little strips is crunching them up and making them look even more wrinkled. This is going to help me get even more texture and more of the look of real birch bark. So again, I'm going to go with my Mod Podge and I'm just going to lay this on, and however it wrinkles up is how I'm going to leave it. I'm going to add a few more of the crumpled pieces, but mostly on the bottom half of the vase because I want it to kind of stick out and not be a perfect cylinder. To make this look even more realistic, I'm taking a pair of tweezers, and where I have some edges, I'm just going to go ahead and pick at them and peel them up just a little wee bit. Birch bark always has some pieces that are peeling off, and this will help my vase to look even more real. I love this birch bark paper, but I did find that it was a little too brown for my liking. So I'm taking that chip brush again, and I'm going to do some rough dry brushing of white all over the vase. It's going to bring out all of those cracks and wrinkles, and it's just going to look beautiful. I'm going to take a piece of that nautical rope that I used for the sign, wrap it around from the front to the back, and then tie a simple knot right in front. I really love how this one turned out. I really hope you enjoyed these two winter DIYs. If you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to stick around. Hit that subscribe button. Those two black arrows will show you exactly where to click. Thanks so much for watching right to the end. See you in the next one.